G'day guys, welcome back to the Fond Supercoach YouTube channel. Today we will be reviewing round 19. There's probably not much to discuss apart from that. There hasn't been any crazy injuries this week, so we'll just get into some captains, vice captains, and some loop options with McCarthy. Yeah, as you can see, he scored 2,490, which was about par, but unfortunately, a lot of the teams around me are significantly better than mine, so it was enough to move me down the ranks 37 spots to rank 465. But yeah, let's get into the player reviews. Rosie missed with the finger injury. It sounds like he is a strong chance to play this week, so that's good. Zorko 98 against the Dogs would generally have liked a little bit more, but he had some I think it was calf issues, or no, it was an ankle issue at one point. So we'll take that in a slot fest as well. So that's all right. And then McKercher 58 against, excuse me, against the Swans. I think the Swans are a tough matchup for halfbacks at the moment. I'm not really sure why. It might just be the SCG though. But yeah, that's pretty frustrating. Can't say I watched this game, so I don't know much more as to why that happened. Yeah, and then Sinclair 120 down at the Cattery, which is a great result. Obviously, Nas went 149 as well. Looks like Nas has been moved into the middle, and he looked very good in there from the highlights that I've seen. Didn't watch this game either because it felt like a little bit of a dead rubber to me. But yeah, Nas 149, Sinclair 120. I presume Nas moving into the midfield is good for both of them, but we will see. It's definitely good for Sinclair. I'm not convinced it's good for Nas yet, but very happy with those scores. Dale 109. I'm so confused by this pick now. Every game the last 2 months that I thought would go poorly has gone well. And every game that I thought would go well has gone poorly. So no idea how to read this pick anymore. Is what it is. We just send it with it, I guess. Then Whitfield 104 against Essendon. The ball wasn't down there a whole heap at times, so it's not really that surprising. Bont 126, we take that. I thought he'd get clamped by Dunkley, but that didn't happen, so that was good. And then Dacos 169 moved back to half back. I don't know if that was a management thing or trying to combat the tag or a mixture of both, but it was very effective for Dacos's scoring for Supercoach. But obviously Collingwood couldn't get the win. They do have Richmond this week. There has been talk of Dacos being rested. Hopefully it is not this week, as this would be a good matchup for him to cash in on. But yeah, we shall see how that goes. And then Butters 94 against Hawthorn. He was getting tagged. He was absolutely destroying Finn McGuinness early. But Finn McGuinness got better of him eventually. 94 through a tag, though, particularly a really hard tag like McGuinness that just doesn't try and find the footy, is pretty good for mine. And then Tom Green, 150 with the VC, massive result there. I know in my last video I spoke about how I didn't trust Tom Green, but I decided that Essendon's midfield was so depleted and their team was in such poor form that I would just go for Tom Green. There was a caveat with this where I was going to trade in Grundy and Tyrell Duar instead of Gawn and Thilthorpe, which wouldn't have netted me, which has netted me more points this week. But I don't know how it'll go in the long run. With Grundy's just absolutely absurd fixture coming up, but we'll see how that goes. And then Dawson 88. I was watching the Collingwood Freo game, so I didn't see this. It sounded like Dawson was having some calf problems and got moved forward, so hopefully he's okay. And then Brayshaw 101 would have been my captain had I not gone for Green. So pretty happy I didn't end up doing that. So yeah, I'm not sure why Brayshaw scored so poorly. It should have been a good game for him. I don't know if it was the helmet or whatnot, but yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. And then Sarong 122 was very good. Got a nice little charity goal from a poor 50-metre penalty. So we take those. And then Chera 91 against Melbourne. I don't know. I feel like I never really noticed Chera when he's playing, but you know, Melbourne's a good matchup for midfielders. Would honestly liked a little bit more from Chera, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just bleeding points at M8 with Chera here, unfortunately. People have like Rao, who's going like 130 the last couple of months. So yeah, M8's a little bit of a disaster for me at the moment. And then Marshall 90 against Stanley is a shocking result. I presume that is partly because of Heath playing in the ruck as well. Yeah, which is a little bit of a disaster. I trade one ruckman playing forward for another one who's splitting the ruck time. So, yeah, it is what it is. I guess I got one good week out of Marshall. Then Gorn 128 in a tough matchup. It is much easier to watch my Demons play when I own Max Gorn. He had a shocking second quarter, but bounced back in big fashion in the last half. It was good. And then Baz, 81, wasn't even tagged. If you cashed in Baz at like 630 or whatever he was, you are absolutely laughing. Hasn't been a single good score since then. Rankin 97, we take that. As I said, didn't watch this game. Daniel 95, I'm not sure why Daniel went well. I'm taking 95s with Caleb Daniel to the bank, by the way. McKercher didn't. But yeah, that is, yeah, we take that. And then Phil Thorpe, getting Matt Kennedy here might have been a little bit better of a decision, I've decided. But I made my bet and now we'll line it with another key forward. I thought, given that Collins was out, I was a chance to get a ton at least, and I was looking like that before Riley went to sleep in the third quarter. But it is what it is. He has Port this week. Port's key defenders are terrible, so hopefully we get a good score out of him. And then Petrarca, 89. I don't know. He just can't kick anymore. It's really sad to see. One of my favourite players can no longer kick, which is, as I said, very sad. And then Darcy, 86. In those conditions, we take that against a solid Brisbane defence. All right, so who am I looping this week? Assuming that McCarthy gets up. McKercher at Marvel versus Geelong. I'm kind of okay with that. And then Chera versus Hawthorn is probably where I would end up going, to be honest. And I do something like this. Husway won't play. Yeah, and then if Chera scores well, I can just leave Husway there, and then I can loop McCarthy with McKercher. If not, I'll just take McCarthy's score. And then captains, vice captains. This is going to be a real short episode this week. I'm absolutely flying through this. So, yeah, captains and vice captains. What are we going with this week? So immediately I'm drawn to the Essendon, West Coast and Richmond fixtures, who have the Dogs, Freo and Collingwood. So all players I can target there. I don't have Grundy, but I would highly consider going there if I did have him. He's really the other one. The other one that I like is Zorko against Gold Coast, but I think that's too pod for mine, and I'd rather just back in like a Bont versus Essendon into a Brayshaw or Sarong versus West Coast. I'll probably end up going Bont into Dacos, and if Dacos is out for whatever reason, I'll pivot to one of the Freo boys. I'm not sure which one I'll end up landing on, but yeah, the other one that I like is Nas versus Melbourne at Marvel. I think there is a strong chance he gets a big fill up there again. So yeah, that's kind of the team for this week, guys. That's all there is to it. I'm trying to think if there were any injuries this week. I'm not really seeing. Well, there's none here. Oh, Jepson played this week. Interesting. Must not have got on much. So yeah, that's the team. If Rosie's out for another week, I will be holding. I would advise others to do so as well. Obviously, him missing 2 weeks is a lot more annoying than him missing one, but he's already missed that 1 week. So that last week is wholly irrelevant when deciding whether or not to trade Rosie. But yeah, that's kind of it for this week. Let me know how you guys are going below in the comments. Hopefully you've still got trades. There was no injuries this week, as I said, so no more trades should have been used. Yeah, also let me know which players are really bleeding your bench out, your points at the moment. Obviously, I've got Chera. McKercher's mostly been good, but yeah, Chera and then 2 key forwards. I sort of kind of wanted to go for the ceiling with Gawn and Thilthorpe. And I thought, as I said, I thought I'd get more good scores out of Thilthorpe. It's just so hard for key forwards to score. Like, yes, yeah. Well, he had a massive fill up against it. Like, they have to kick a bag to give you, that big score that you're after. And it's just so hard to kick massive bags of goals every week in the AFL at the moment. As we see with no one kicking 100 since Buddy last did it. By the way, guys, What sort of content do you want to see in the like preseason this year? Are you happy with sort of what I was doing with the rookies and the reports from the matches and that sort of thing? Do you want me to do like more training updates? I tend to troll Big Footy a fair bit during the off season. I just try and keep my ear to the ground to see if I can get some good picks and some pods that go well. Like this year, I feel like I had Brayshaw, who was a really strong starting pick. He was probably the only one that I really smashed out of the park, I would have said. Trying to think if there was any like random rookies that I went that were good. I don't think there was this year. That would have been like the Murphy Reed pick. But yeah, let me know what sort of content you guys are after in the off season or the preseason. I'm sort of, as I've been saying for weeks, I've been planning for next season for a while now. But that also comes into the content. What do you guys want to see? What sort of information do you guys want to help you build your starting team? So I'm fully planning for next year at this point. I know I'm not in a terrible position, but as I've said, like McKercher and Chair are sort of bleeding me points every week now, which is a little bit frustrating. But yeah, let me know how you guys are going, what sort of content you want to see in the preseason. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.